Mary, you have to give me permission to record. Go on League of Women Voters up there.
Yeah, I know, I'm in there, and
Go to more.
I know there's not an option there. The only option I have is stop video. Are you recording already?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, sorry guys. We had computer problems today, so we are readjusting everything. All right, before we start the program, I want to encourage everyone to take part in our other candidate forums. I think we have one left actually, and to use the League's voter guides. We have the digital voters guide, which is the Vote 411. We have all of the voter guides on our website. You can check them out there. And we have the printed voter guides, which are all around the county. Check out places, they're in the libraries, government buildings, senior living facilities, and so on. You may also check out the other forums, which we have videoed. You can find them on our website. Go to lwvmanatee.org and go to election kit, and then under there, election information. This evening, we're pleased to have the candidates for Bradenton Mayor, Jean Brown, Harold Byrd, and Dimitrie Denis. Each candidate tonight will have 1 minute to answer questions. Mary Collins will be watching the time and will hold up the sign. Oh, that's a good, I like the red thing. When it's about time for you to finish up, we'll let you finish up your sentence and then I'll wave at you and we'll call time. As we said, this presentation is being recorded. It will be posted on our League of Women Voters website. Reference can be made to it and it can be shown in its entirety. It is property of League of Women Voters, however. It cannot be used without the League of Women Voters Manatee County permission and cannot be used in any candidate political ads. We have no more questions. I'm going to get started. And if you have questions as we go along, just put them in chat and Mary will be watching. And we'll stop every once in a while to get what you all have to ask at this time. Okay, if we have no more questions, we will go. All right, I'll get started with candidate Brown. Mr. Brown, why are you running for this office and what knowledge and skills do you bring to it?
Thank you. And first off, I'd like to thank the League of Women Voters for hosting this tonight. Very good question. And I get that question a lot. Why am I running? And what we, in our city, what are going to be important things as we go forward? I think if you look back at my history since I've graduated college and even before that when I was growing up at the Boys Club at the time and now the Boys and Girls Club, it's very important as we give back to our city, give back to our community, and all of my involvement, civic involvement, as well as the last 8 years being on the Bradenton City Council and working to make our city better is important. And I really feel that, you know, it's one of those things that it comes from the heart. And as you work to make our community better, you're also making everyone better. And I just believe that I've got the business background, running our funeral home for 31 years now, going on 32 years, in a small business in our community in the city of Bradenton. And, you know, just kind of finishing up, I guess we'll move on. That's quick. So
yeah, so 1 minute goes really fast.
Thank you for that.
Uh-oh. Okay, thank you, Mr. Byrd. Yeah. Mr. Brown. Mr. Byrd, you are next. Same
Good
question.
afternoon.
Why are you running?
Yes, good afternoon. And also I'd like to thank the League of Women Voters for the invitation and the opportunity to share with all of the residents here this evening. I have to say that the first thing is that I've always, as I entered into the elected position, I've done so not for anything personal. It's because it was a calling from the community, community service, public service, And I think I got a lot of that from my parents. We were raised right here in Bradenton and been here for many decades. And that what they taught me was about public service, giving back. And right now, I've served several times on the Bradenton City Council. That's the legislative branch of government. And I had chosen, as of about 4 years ago, that was a direction I didn't want to head in. So my skill set, as well as my education experience, we bring that to the table. We'd like to take it to the next level at the executive branch. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Mr. Denis.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Dimitrie Denis. You're the candidate for mayor here in the city of Bradenton. The difference between a presidential election and a mayoral race is that the city of Bradenton is at privilege of voting for the third candidate, Dimitrie Denis, the blue-collar Republican, living check to check, working hard to make ends meet for his family. That is the representation of majority of the citizens here who do not make excuses. Our city councilmen did not do their jobs in protecting us from COVID-19. They failed us. We hope and pray that our current president recovers from COVID-19. Many of the Black communities are at risk, and our elderly. Who is fighting for us? Community friction with our police department that our councilmen are a part of? How can that be? The people are tired of both establishment politicians offering a blank dream. A vote for Dimitrie Denis is precisely a vote for yourself. So wake up, city of Bradenton, and vote Denis for mayor.
Well, you got it in a minute. You moved fast. Thank you. Okay, on to our next question. This one will be going to, I'm just going to call you by your first name. Is that okay? It's easier.
Sure.
All right, Harold.
Yes.
What is your opinion on the referendum question about the mayoral powers, especially as it relates to the police department?
Well, I guess my view, as we were going through the different charter revisions, one of the things, as we look back, there were some things that people were asking questions who had power over the police department. And right now, I wanted to take that referendum to the voters. I served in the capacity that I have with the mayor, the presumed powers over the police department. All other departments at the city fall into a different type of situation. And I just felt that in this day and age, one individual should not have all of that power, influence, oversight over that particular department. It needs more input not only from the city council, the community, and all stakeholders in this community. It's been evident of that over the last year and a half when we tried to go forward with the Citizen Review Board. We could have been proactive as a city, and we did not.
Thank you very much. Dimitrie, same question.
Yes, that's a wonderful question. I believe that if you're voting for either or of the establishment, I believe that you should vote against them attaining that power of the mayorship, because a lot of the issues that are occurring here locally, these men are actually serving, and so there is no difference. However, if you are the typical everyday citizen here in the city of Bradenton, taxpayer, who's not making any excuses, and who is being involved in their community, I believe that you should endow your next mayor, Dimitrie Denis, that power, because he's a newcomer, he's anti-establishment, and we're coming with a new change because the police department, quite frankly, represents the mayor, and the mayor reflects the police department.
Thank you. Okay, Gene.
Thank you, and that's very important. And if you followed the city politics over the last year and a half, you know my view on that I don't believe that we got citizen involvement to go through the charter amendments to get involved. And it was very important to me to get citizens involved, but it wasn't my driving force as a political partisanship to do something to an individual politician. And I felt that at this time that it is not a good initiative to pass Referendum 3. And I've been strong on that since day one. So there is a difference from me and one of my opponents on that. Obviously, we sat through the meetings together, but I don't believe that it's the right timing. Do I believe that there's room for improvement on our charter? And yes, I do. But I believe we've got to work through a citizen committee to do that and not have political partisan in that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, moving on. Dimitri, you're first on this one. What are your feelings about reallocating funds from law enforcement to fund programs in distressed communities?
That is a wonderful question. Quite honestly, that's a talk that I would like to have with the chief, and I believe that the police chief has everything that she wanted on the budget. But at the same time, we want to make sure that we're not going on no pork spending. And so if that is the case in any department with any budget, yes, we would like to allocate fundings in those well-needed areas of our community. However, if we're working behind the 8 ball here in our police department, well, we want to make sure that they have adequate funding and that we're not playing around with their budget. Again, if there are no pork spending with any budget, yes, we would like to allocate those to needed areas and projects in the community in the city of Bradenton. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Okay, same question, Jean.
Yes, and I do not believe there should be any part of trying to defund our police department at this time. I believe there is avenues to go to put money into our police department and to community policing as we go forward. So, you know, there is opportunity, and the council right now controls that budget. So, you know, even though the mayor is the commissioner of the police department right now, the council is the one that controls the budget. And I know that there's opportunity for police cameras going on right now, and that's something that I am very supportive of, to have body cams and go forward, and as well as going into all of the neighborhoods that need more help than others, and some neighborhoods that like having our community police. So I believe it's important to do that, but I don't believe we should try to defund our police department as it stands right now.
Thank you. Okay, where am I? Howard, Gerald.
Yes, I guess the first thing is it's a lot of talk out there about defund. When we approved the body cams just recently at the council meeting, one of the statements I made was some of the things we can't afford not to fund. Body cams, it's good for everyone involved. I think it's the right direction to go. Now, the police, they have protect and serve. You know, that's what they're about. I think we ought to give them all of the necessary tools to do that. However, I think we can do better. I have my slogan is better as Bradenton, better as possible for Bradenton. And I think we need to look along those lines and see some of the things that we can do as far as the communities that we serve to make the whole community better. One Bradenton is my goal. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, moving on. I'm going to go to a whole different line of questioning here. Okay, we'll start with you, Jean. How will you retain young people, millennials as they're all saying, and prevent brain drain in Bradenton?
Okay, that's a great question because I have two of those. I have a 29 and a 27-year-old, which have a lot of friends in this community. And I think with some proactive ways, I mean, our downtown is thriving a little bit right now. Obviously with COVID-19, it slowed down a little bit. So it's important to continue to do things. I know the chamber does some things, different organizations work through it. So I think it'll be very important as we go forward to continue to come up with activities through Realize Bradenton, through our groups that are out there to make our young people want to stay here, as well as finding them jobs and places to live. You know, that all ties in. If it's easier to find a place to live and find a job, they'll want to stay and not get out of here. I do know a lot of millennials that thought the grass was greener on the other side, and then they turned around and said, wait a minute, Bradenton's not bad. So we are doing a few good things, but there is some avenues to go to move forward.
Thank you. Harold. Mr. Byrd? Want me to repeat the
Yes,
question?
I'd have to say that, yes, same question. We're good. I think this is something that's been going on for decades. I know a lot of friends of mine years ago, it was the same thing. They would go away to college and then they try to come back to Bradenton, which was smaller than it is today, but it's the same type of situation. The only thing different now is that we're beginning to have dialogue and discussions on how can we, keep the younger generations, the millennials, here in Bradenton. So we have to have that talk about economic development. We talk about the housing. We talk about the social side of things to try to make Bradenton a better place, so that not only will they just stay here, raise families, and do some of the things that generations before they left the area. Atlanta, the Charlottes, Miami's, the Orlandos. I have friends when it's far away as Minnesota and California. But we have to keep that dialogue open. Thank you.
Thank you. Dimitrie?
That is a wonderful question, because I believe that question is perhaps targeted and directed to me. I would say is the first step that we need to do is elect Dimitrie Denis to be your next mayor. He's a 33-year-old millennial who knows how to get the job done. I think effectively what that would be telling to our young millennials, generations younger than that, and even our older generation, is that anything is possible. Anything is possible. And quite honestly, with the overburden of student loan debt, broken infrastructure, and look at what the COVID has done to our economy, both nationally and locally. And so there's a lot that us millennials have to fight for and fight to achieve. And so we want to make sure that we lessen that burden, and we let our young people know, our grandsons, our granddaughters, our sons and daughters know, hey, you can be the mayor. You can take charge of your life, your destination, and step up to the plate. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I think we'll take a little break from these questions, and I see several chat questions have shown up. Mary, you want to do a couple of the questions that have come in online?
Sure. What is the candidate's position on making sure we reduce our climate footprint? Will you commit to having Bradenton be one of the Ready for 100 cities, thereby joining Sarasota, St. Petersburg, Gainesville, and five other Florida cities?
Okay, Harold, we'll start with you on that one.
Yes, I think we have to have a serious discussion along the lines of climate changes that are going on. I know in my lifetime we've seen things as far as the different storms that we're presented with, the rise of our oceans, and in looking at our footprint, I would love to be have that advocate that position of moving in that direction as far as all types of avenues where we can decrease that carbon footprint that we have, which will, in effect, move us in a direction whereby we will not be subjected to the dangers of the climate situations in the future generations. But yes, I would.
Okay, thank you. Dimitrie?
Yes, ma'am. The future of tomorrow depends on how we effectively deal with many of these issues. And climate change is one of our great issues. And you have people on different sides of the aisle who believe that it's an issue and do not believe as an issue. However, I am a candidate who believes in science, and I believe in the preservation of our conservation. And so whatever I need to do, whatever decision making that I need to do, you must believe that I will be taking into consideration our community, our health, and our wildlife.
Okay, thank you. Gene?
Thank you. Yes, and I think that's a very important question as we go forward. And our city has already done several things as we have seen some different changes in our city and our state, our country, as you look forward. I do think it's a very important issue. I think it's something that, like others have said, some believe on one way, totally to the one side or the other side. I believe as we need to monitor things, work within our community, and work with our departments to make sure that we are doing things to protect our environment, protect our natural resources. But I also think that we have to be smart and make sure that we're moving forward and not always raising taxes and doing things to hurt our citizens. But we do have to protect all of our environment. And our city has already, I believe, joined through a vote of the council in the past part of that accord. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Mary, is there another question?
Yes. What would you do to ensure that Bradenton will have smart growth? Do you support City 3 referendum items on the 11-3 ballot?
Would you repeat that? I didn't understand the first part.
What would you do to ensure that Bradenton will have smart growth? And do you support City referendum 3 items on the 11-3 ballot?
Okay, Harold, would you start with that?
Oh, sure. I guess we'll go with the smart growth. I believe that a lot of times we call it urban sprawl, but I call it suburban sprawl. I've adopted that kind of phrasing on it. What we're subjected to in the urban core, which in Bradenton is a lot of the traffic and everything we deal with, it's because of the growth outside of the city limits. And we have to deal with it that way. So we have to be smarter with our growth and advocate to the other surrounding communities about that. As far as referendums, yes, I support all 3. And I urge anybody that I talk to push forward in that direction. The charter amendments are good things, and I support all 3 of them. But I will, whatever the citizens say, we needed to put it to a vote of the citizens, and what they say will determine the.
Okay, thank you. Dimitrie.
Yes, ma'am. That is a great question, because when we're talking about overdevelopment and just the growth entirely in our city, I think that we have to take into accountability our developers. I believe that with the constant development in our cities and in the county, for that matter of fact, we're not able to keep up with traffic. We have traffic congestion all through our communities, and then we have dilapidated infrastructure going on. We have the collapse of the bridge down on Morgan Johnson, and then we have sewage spilling into the Gulf. And so we just want to make sure that we are tackling the growth in a smart and desired manner, and not just allowing the developers to take charge of the entire city and develop uncontrollably and leave the taxes and dilapidated infrastructure onto the working class citizen. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay. Did we get you all on that one?
I didn't get to answer that.
Okay, Jean. All right. I'm sorry.
No problem.
When we add these chat, they mess up my orders. Okay.
Well, thanks for that question. Yeah, no, I think that's a great question. Smart growth is going to be important to all of us. And I think it's going to be important to elect a mayor that's going to work with the other cities in our town, as well as the county, because we can't control everything that happens around us. And a lot of the growth happens out east, and a lot of the people that want to come from out east want to go to the beach. So what's in between that? City of Bradenton. So what are we going to do as a city to figure out how to work together to have smart growth, so we have better housing for our workforce housing, different ways to do that, I believe is going to be important, as well as density issues we're going to have to work through to make sure that the county, the city of Bradenton, the city of Palmetto, the beach cities are all working together, because our city and counties are so interchanged that people don't, there's people that live in the middle of a street that don't even know that they live in the county or the city, because it's so intertwined.
Thank you. I'm going to skip down. We've got another one that impacts on that same question. I'm going to skip down to it right now. Dimitrie, how would you coordinate with Manatee County planning that impacts Bradenton?
First of all, I prioritize all our issues for as planning and development here in the city. And perhaps that could be too much development and the interference with that. And so whatever the people prioritize for me to bring to the commission, then that's what I would bring. And then I would make sure that I leverage my business background, knowing that I have an MBA in economics and development, and leverage to where we can negotiate better dealings here in our city. Thank you.
Okay, Gene.
Thank you. And I believe years ago, the Council of Governments was formed, and there was some reasons that it formed that may not be as viable as today as it was in the past. But I think that that's going to be very important to work together through the Council of Governments. And again, not to say to tell the county what they have to do, because they're a different board, they have different options, but it's going to be the coalition of working together to make things better for all of us. And that's one of the things that I've done throughout the year, that with all of the organizations I've been on, whether it be the Boys and Girls Club, whether it be the high schools, whether it be the schools, whether it be our business, I've worked together to bring people together and then figure out how to do things. And not all of us individually will have the answer, but if we work together, growth is going to be there. And a biggest part of it's going to be coming together as a coalition to go to DOT, because a lot of our streets are DOT streets. And as I've heard for years from many, they don't care what we do. But if we're working together with them, we can make them care.
Okay, thank you. Harold. I lost you. We seem to, I think he was having trouble.
Okay, are we back?
Yes, there
Yeah,
you are.
having
You're
problems
having
here.
trouble with your internet, right? Okay, question.
Yeah. Okay, first of all, I think, yeah, we need leadership that's going to advocate the certain positions and try to do it from a regional standpoint. For a long time, we've not had to really deal with that. We didn't have the type of growth within the area that we have now. That leadership, he has to have that vision. He has to advocate a position of saying, hey, you know, we're not an island. We gotta come together. No man is an island. To work together if we want to make things happen. And I agree. You know, coalitions. We need to say that hey, these things are impacting us, and do that from a perspective of not only just right there as mayor and council, but reaching out to the other governments that are in the area, in the regional area, and trying to do that in a positive way that would be good for all parties that are involved.
Okay, thank you. Okay, moving on. Okay, Jean, we're going to go with you to start here. Since so many Manatee County residents struggle with homelessness and substance abuse, what plan would you put in place to help people get back on their feet?
Now, that's a great question, and my family has been directly impacted by that. My brother did pass away this January, and it's been something that our family has struggled with for many years, and my parents, and I've seen it take a toll on our family. So, you know, there's a lot of things that people say you can try to do and to do, but it comes down to the point you have to have services, which Manatee County and the city of Bradenton, in the city of Bradenton, has some great services. And, you know, the families are fighting to help their families. But I do believe that we get to continue to support our social services, work together with them, which I think the city of Bradenton, by allowing them to be in our city, working with them, giving the benefits to them at times, helping them and get people through that. And then it comes to the point where sometimes you just have to pray and hope that, you know, they'll finally hit that moment that will help them. But I think that's a very important thing to work through and have a government help the community.
Okay, thank you. Harold,
Could you repeat the question again?
yes. Since so many Manatee County residents struggle with homelessness and substance abuse, what plan would you put in place to help people get back in their feet?
Okay, that's something that we're going to have to deal with, especially we're in the middle of a crisis right now. And in my mind, I think that we're going to have to do better than we have in the past, and as far as addressing a lot of the problems that people will be facing. The moratorium on the mortgages and rental. What's going to happen when a lot of those funds are, either not available to people or, they're up for evictions. We have to deal with that. We have programs such as SHIP as far as affordable housing. We utilize all those tools. We have CDBG dollars. We have other funds as well as on the other things as far as the homelessness. Those things could quite possibly increase after the post-COVID-19. So we have to have someone in place that will be competent and able to choose a lot of those revenue sources.
Okay, thank you.
And put them to work
Dimitrie.
for people.
Yes, ma'am. That is a wonderful question. I actually grew up homeless in the hood, so I know what homeless is. But I tell you what, here today, I'm running to be your mayor here in the city of Bradenton. And so when I look at homelessness and substance abuse across the city, I see a lot of young people, a lot of young, able-bodied people. And I would like to say to them this evening is don't make no excuses on why you're not working hard for yourself primarily, and that you're not advancing and bettering your tomorrow. And when we're talking about substance abuse, you see a lot of my generation in particular with just issues like overburden of student loan debt. A lot of young people who come out of college who can't find jobs, the only thing that they can resort to is substance abuse. And I tell them this evening that with this election, that is also on the ballot. We want to make sure that we have a millennial who can address many of our issues and many of our needs, and also allow for our young people to be independent and hardworking people.
Okay, thank you. Mary, you got some more chat questions?
What would you do differently to ensure, or what would you do differently to enable far more affordable housing within the city?
Oh, I'm sorry. Jean, let's start with you.
Hey, thank you. No, that's a great question because we talk about affordable housing, workforce housing, it means a lot of different things over time, but the city of Bradenton does have a considerable number of affordable housing. And I believe though we could actually improve on that. And with the workforce housing component to that, we can make a difference by adding density to help national or local home builders come to our town. We've had some great projects that have come in. I have been a proponent of public-private partnerships because it seems like the private part of it seems to have a little bit better success than the government part of it at times. And the last several years on the council, we saw where the private came in, worked with the government, and it did succeed. But I do think there's opportunity really within density to work with our home builders to make it better. And I think it's important to continue public-private partnerships.
Okay, thank you. Dimitrie.
Yes, ma'am. With the affordable housing crisis, and I don't want to use the term affordable housing. I would prefer to use the term attainable housing, because what's affordable for me may not be affordable for you and vice versa. And so here in the city, what we want to do is take leadership on these issues. And I plan on taking leadership on this issue by allowing free city land for affordable housing, allow low-income housing credit, tax credit, fast-track permitting, and also challenge some of our zoning regulations often in our community, there's a not in my backyard mindset, and that often blocks and raise costs to building multifamily and affordable housing.
Okay, thank you. Harold.
Yes, I think one of the first things we have to do is we have to look at some of the different designs of homes. At this point, you have different municipalities. They're looking at the sizes of the homes and saying that we can provide smaller homes, and it will make them more affordable for a lot of the young millennials and people that are really not in a position to afford some of the larger homes. So that goes also into, we have to also think about all levels of housing. People, I agree with, saying that workforce housing, affordable housing, whatever name you describe, we have to make sure that there's enough housing that can be attainable by all of the different individuals within the city of Bradenton. And I would advocate a position of utilizing all those funds, from SHIP funds and all of the different development and planning tools necessary to make it happen. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Mary, one more from the chat questions, please.
What is your vision for economic development in the city of Bradenton?
Jean, we'll start with you on this one.
Okay, I think it's going to be important as we go forward to look at our properties around the city and see what opportunity is out there with land that maybe the city owns, maybe some private property that's out there that people are willing to partner with the city to come up with avenues. I do believe in part of our urban core, we need to come up with some different amenities that are down to be around the city, grocery stores, different ways to angle things. Being on the council the last 8 years, before I had to resign to run for mayor, I felt that we were working hard to try to get it, but you also need a developer or a grocery store that wants to come in. And I think, there's a lot of drivers that we can work as a government to bring to the table, but we can't make them come to the table. How are we going to work together? And again, it comes back to a coalition with our county. I think we're so intertwined that we're going to have to work together and work with developers and home builders to drive that more.
Okay, thank you. All right, and along the same lines, kind of. Dimitrie, I'm going to start with this one. I don't know what that noise is. How would you attract new types of businesses to diversify our economic base? And what kind of industries do you think would be a good fit for our city?
Wonderful question. I plan on creating vibrant places to increase housing and transportation choices, provide more multimodal options, including safe walking and bicycling, and preserve corridors for future premium transit to connect the urban centers. That is part of my economic plan. And to attract high-tech businesses and employees, build a robust relationship with Port of Manatee as our economic engine, brand and plan for a higher education and cultural corridor from 14th Street on down to 41st, on down to 41, and prepare infrastructure for new technology. And so the sectors that I would like to bring in to the city as new businesses are technology, because we want to make sure that we're making technological advances that are going to save us money as taxpayers and get rid of the overtimes and big old pensions that we're giving out down there at the city hall. Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you. Jean, same question.
Okay, yeah, I think probably the biggest driver in that's going to be low taxes and low regulation. The more we can do to help our businesses thrive in our city and not put unburdensome taxes and regulations on them, it's going to drive it. The economic development, I believe, is going to be one of the most important things in our city to keep us going from where we are now to go forward. We've done some great things over the years, but now is the time to actually to kind of put it on steroids and get it going further. And I think it's going to be all about how what we're doing to drive our business here instead of driving away. And low taxes and low regulations is going to be important.
Okay, thank you. Harold.
Yes, I have to say that for me, it's sort of a good position to look at, especially right now. Just recently, the city of Bradenton, we're looking at doing some restructuring of the Economic Development Department. And we have 3 different CRAs that we've relied on a lot of the TIF financing to attract different businesses to the area. And years ago, we set up the Economic Development Department, but we did not get into fully funded it the way that I would have liked to have seen it. And if we had done that, it would have been something that could have been citywide. And the types of businesses, definitely, technology companies, and also getting back to some of the real small micro businesses, things that we can start up and have those businesses grow over time and add to our tax structure. But fully utilizing all of the tools, the CRA districts, the trying to really fund the Economic Development Department and move in that direction.
Okay, thank you. And I'm going to start with you again for this next question.
Okay.
How would you keep taxes for Bradenton city residents low if you're doing all of that?
Well, that's probably the hardest thing. And that's why we need competent leadership in place that will be able to look at all of the different revenues, look at some of the expenditures that we have, and try to do the best that we can off of what we have coming in. I'm reminded in my education in looking at government and saying that good government is both effective and efficient. And so by trying to look at it from that direction, we can put those dollars at work for the city of Bradenton in a way that it will not have an adverse effect on the taxpayers, and try to keep those taxes affordable so that people will not be discouraged and end up paying more taxes. So I would do it, I would handle it that way.
Thank you. Dimitrie, how would you keep the taxes low for the citizens of Bradenton?
Yes, ma'am. I am against raising taxes. First and foremost, I want to make sure that I am looking over the taxpayers' dollars. And therefore, oftentimes we pay a little extra on our taxes. And we want to make sure that the government is returning our overpayment of taxes and not keeping them on in sludge funds in which they're partaking in anyhow they would like to. And so I want to make sure that people are paying their rightful amount of taxes and not overpaying the taxes. And second of all, I want to make sure that we're tackling all our basic infrastructure, making sure that we're keeping up with these basic infrastructure, not getting blindsided, so that way I can keep the people's taxes low, because I know that we have a robust infrastructure that can support all of us. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And Jane.
Yes, thank you. And again, that's a great question, because 8 years ago, when I got asked to run for city council and got on the council, I brought a common sense business aspect to government. And one of the things that government doesn't always do is they don't look at the X's and O's as well as they should. And we were able to go from $150,000 to $1.5 million in road repaving. There was other infrastructure projects that were going, different things. And yes, it took the whole council to vote on that. But when you look at all of the projects that we're in now, we're in the 7th year of the road repaving. We're in the 7th year of the infrastructure. We're in the 7th year of a lot of things. And like I said, it's something that I asked a lot of questions 8 years ago of why we do stuff. And that was important to me to get some of those projects starting without raising taxes. Now, to the question of to continue to maybe even lower taxes, it would be good if we were structurally working at things and paying normal rates, not government rates for things. So there's a lot of ways we can continue to work through that to streamline the budget.
Thank you. Okay, moving on. Dimitri, let's start with you. How do you plan to reclaim or restore public park or land that has been taken over by big developers in the city?
That is a great question. And the way I plan on doing that is by, just one minute. Okay, so the exploitation of our precious land and conservation occurs because of our politicians driving the efforts of quick economic gains and resource attraction rather than prioritizing these areas for more sustainable economic uses, such as recreation for the people. A vote for any of my opponents will allow the developers and their political cronies to ideologically favor limited regulation and private profits. What I plan on doing is preserve environmental health by safeguarding treasured environmental assets, plan for resiliency from storms and flooding, balancing protection and land use, and increase density and decrease auto dependency. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Jean?
Can you repeat the question for me?
Sure. How do you plan to reclaim or restore public park or land that has been taken over by big developers throughout the city?
I don't know that it's going to be able to be taken back, but there's some developments that what I was on through the city in my 8 years on the council, that there was some projects that were done that actually improved some of the areas. And when it came down to it, we actually got more land than we gave up. And we got riverfront land for highway land. So when you look at the overall projects, we were actually improving what we had. And was there some history that went through? And as a council person, you may know a little bit more than the public, and we see it every day. But if somebody has a specific on that, you know, maybe I can answer a little differently. But I believe that the city has been good stewards and was able to get more property for a neighborhood than what we had, and improve the property and have waterfront property to help our Riverwalk East expand a little easier.
Okay, thank you. And Harold?
Yes, so I guess I can sort of respond to that, and I'll go into one of the latest. I think growing up here in East Bradenton, Glacier Gates Park, one of the hardest decisions, and people think that it's real, easy, making some of these decisions. But I played as a little kid, and I don't mind telling my age. Everybody else telling theirs. I'm 60 years old. I played as a little kid in Glacier Gates Park, and to have to come back and look at the possibilities of it not being there anymore, it was a tough decision. But we were able to relocate that into another area and really enhance the different things that are available for recreation. So as long as we take and we advocate the position that we can do it a little bit better, just give us that chance. But those are some hard decisions. One of the hardest decisions was making that to say that Glacier Gates will not be anymore. But they will have, and it will be a better park and a better environment for the families that want to enjoy the park.
Thank you. Mary, I know we have some really good chat questions. You want to pick one up? We're running short of time.
Okay. Do you believe in giving the Citizens Review Board the power to subpoena records and share with the public?
And we'll start with Harold on that one.
Okay. I think, first of all, we need to take the first step. The first step, we want to look at assembling all the stakeholders as far as in this community. And, once we do that, we, as a community, we make a lot of those determinations. Everybody's calling for oversight. They're calling for transparency. They're calling for a lot of these things to be handled by a citizens review board. And I think the first thing is, and right now we do have one that's been seated, and they're gonna have a lot of work ahead of them. And I think as we get all the stakeholders together as a community, we have to make those decisions. But for me, I think it has to come from the different stakeholders in the community to say, this is what we want for that department. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Dimitri.
Yes, ma'am. Wonderful question. Police oversight starts with the mayor. And even if the council members become more involved, the people will still look to the mayor for accountability. The police department is a reflection of the mayor and the council member. And if they as politicians isolate themselves from the people once they get in office, then how do we expect the police force to do better? If we're having issues with the community and policing, it's because of our lazy politicians not being change agents and actually being out there with the people and listening to their issues and grievances directly. Then we know at that point we'd have an intergovernmental standard for our city departments. It's plain and simple. If something goes wrong in our government or our police department, blame me. I will accept responsibility and do better.
Okay, thank you. Jean.
Okay, yeah, and I know that the mayor has just recently started to appoint the committee, and it's going forward, the oversight committee. I've always been for working within the community and making the citizens being involved from the standpoint of all areas. And I think it's important that we get this committee going, see the kind of the formatting of it, and then work together to figure out exactly what is going to work within the department through the community. There's never been a time in my life that I thought that somebody should do something illegal. It's working together, making things better, working through coalitions, and making sure that our citizens are heard, taken care of, and not neglected.
Okay, thank you. Harold? I don't think he's lost.
Harold, we got to wake up back there, man.
Harold? He's having trouble with his internet, I think. All right,
Wake up. Harold went to sleep, ladies and gentlemen.
Okay.
Harold's having problems with his internet.
Right. Oh, who's that? All right, I'm going to ask one more question, and then I'm going to give you all a chance to give a little final statement and review. All right, let's start with Dimitri on this one. Do you have any innovative ideas, yours or ones done in other communities, that you would like to see Bradenton adopt that are not in the current plans?
That is a brilliant question.
Oh, I know.
Innovative ideas that I have for the city to adopt. Well, I would like to turn the city of Bradenton into a smart city that covers a multitude of technology. Smart parking systems that use sensors to determine occupancy and availability that reduces circulation of drivers looking for parking space, especially downtown. Smart street lighting with sensors and cameras that can count pedestrians, predict crash along roadways, detect gunshots, or automatically report issues of flooding. These technology are possible with expected growth because of advanced telecommunication systems such as 5G, as it becomes more widespread and increase access to high-speed data connections. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Jean.
Yes, yeah, and I think that is a great question, because when you look around us, there's a lot of great cities around us, St. Pete, which took a long time to get the things going, Sarasota, which is thriving right now. And I think that we kind of reach out to around the state and look at what is some good things going, but I want to be Bradenton, and I want Bradenton to grow. And I feel that we're going to work within our community to get ideas. And I've already been reaching out in neighborhoods, talking to people, going to homes. People have been calling me, inviting me. and getting ideas of how we improve. Our downtown merchants are doing a great job at what they're doing, but what other type of activities can we bring downtown? You know, is there something that we can bring that will be for the millennials that will be more? But it's important for all of us to work together to try to bring this up. And, you know, what works in one city won't necessarily work in ours, but technology is important. Everything as we grow is going to be important. And I think our Main Street is going to turn into the other streets and continue to grow out as we bring more residents downtown.
Okay, thank you. Harold, are you back on?
Yes, I'm here. You hear me?
Did you hear the question?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Yes. I think one of the first things, and it's been quite noticeably here during the COVID-19 and the problems people have with communicating. We have all the Zoom meetings and all this other stuff that we have to handle over high-speed internet. The one thing that I think that can be accomplished, and you have to have a mayor that's going to advocate a position on high-speed internet that will be available within the city of Bradenton. And you have to have a council to look at the voting for a policy that will move us in that direction. But right now, we see a situation where, you know, whether you're looking at the education system, the business, the homeowners that are not getting out as much as they have before, we've got to look at high-speed internet within the city of Bradenton. And that would definitely be something that's not done now that I would look at doing.
Okay, thank you. All right, candidates, I will give you 1 minute to give us a closing statement. Remember, these people have a lot of questions. I would suggest, I know since we didn't have time to cover all of them, contact each person that you have a question of and get their answer from them. Because we're working fast, but we're running out of time. Okay, let's start with you, Harold, since you're up.
Okay. All right. I have to say that our campaign, we focused on redevelopment, public safety, public improvements, transportation, ridding our city of a lot of the traffic problems we have, as well as affordable workforce and attainable housing. The Harold E. Byrd campaign, we're focused on providing a lot of those things, and we will first put together a transition team. We look at a transition as we move into the future. If you want to elect someone that's competent, educated, and has experience to move the city in the right direction, vote for Harold Byrd, www.voteharoldbyrd.com. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Dimitrie.
Yes, you have two establishment politicians running to be the mayor, representing both sides of the aisle. Make it easy on yourself. Vote for the other guy, Dimitrie Denis, a blue-collar Republican who believes in hard work, minus the excuses, will rebuild our Black communities, defend our guns here locally from federal government, restore respect for our law enforcement officers, and rebuild our crumbling infrastructure. Enough is enough with our establishment politicians. League of Women Voters, Bradenton Herald, Bradenton Times, all these institutions, deep down in your heart, you know who should be your next mayor. Let's push it out to the community. Vote Dimitrie Denis to be your next mayor. Let's make history and let's cause an earthquake as well. Thank you.
Jean.
Without question, my leadership and experience will be more important than ever as we confront the critical decisions needed to put our city back on the road to strength and prosperity for all. And I think it's going to be very important that in my 8 years, I have never been considered a inside politics. I roll up my sleeves, I see a problem, I'll get them done, I get things taken care of. I work with our community, I'll work with our county commissioners, I'll work with our DOT, I'll work with all the parties involved, the chamber, the EDC. I've been reaching out to all of them, going through things now, finding out what are critical issues in our city as we go forward. No one would have ever considered a pandemic that we're going through. None of our lifetimes. I don't think there was anyone even alive or at the time the last pandemic hit the city, the country as bad as this. And I think it's important to elect a common sense businessman that's going to work for all of our citizens, all of our people, and make it better. And I'd like to thank the League of Women Voters for having this tonight. And God bless America, and God bless the city of Bradenton. They're going to make it better.
Thank you. I want to thank our candidates, and I want to thank all of the viewers and contributors. We have one more candidate forum. October 13th, I believe. Otherwise, we do have all of the forums are on tape. If you'll go to our website, you can watch them. And if you might have missed them, you can check them out. I am really impressed with all the interest in the city of Bradenton mayoral race. So good luck, man. And thank you all for watching us. Good evening. Goodbye.